So close, yet so far. That's the perfect way to describe Jetlag's first game of hide-and-seek. The game they played in Switzerland showed a lot of promise, something that the creators and the fans noticed pretty quickly, but this potential was hindered by several severe game flaws that almost destroyed the season. Recognizing this, as well as realizing the potential of a home game, the creators redid the rules for their second game in Japan, and it worked out so well that Season 12 is widely considered a contender for the best season of the show. So naturally, a year later, they repeated the same game in the UK, with new curse and power-up cards that could be added to a new expansion deck. It went alright. Most fans seemed to like this season fine, but felt a lot of the hiding runs were repetitive, and that some rules changes are needed in the future. Perhaps the game needed to be made more harder. Which brings us back to Switzerland. Whereas in the tag seasons they waited a few years before making the game harder, the first game of hide-and-seek was arguably more difficult than the second version. Maybe there's some elements from this game we can incorporate in the new version that will come out next year, because let's be honest, they're probably going to make another expansion pack. Let's see how flawed Jetlag's first season of hide-and-seek was, really. Many of the flaws of this game can be traced back to the way that the curses were set up. When seekers asked to hider questions, they would give coins to the seeker, who could then use these coins to buy curse dice. The seeker could save coins to buy more curse dice and roll for a bigger curse, as the number that the dice rolled would equal the curse. When designing the game, the creators intended that players would either save up their curse die for one big roll, or would roll multiple times when they had a decent amount of coins. In practice, players usually went for one big roll, so we didn't get many curses this season. Worse, a lot of the curses weren't that memorable. They switched to a card-based system for the next season, and yes, this clearly was the right choice, because they could keep the challenges/curses coming at a consistent pace. The other issue with the curse system is that if the hider saved enough dice and rolled lucky, they could roll a high number and be allowed to change their location. In practice, this never happened, but the fear of it happening led seekers to be more hesitant to ask questions than they needed to be. They ended up wasting time looking in areas without solid proof that the hider was there. The next season fixes it by having the move power-up be a single, and optional, card. There's still the risk that a hider gets the move card, something that actually happens in one round in Japan, but the risk isn't exponential, as they say on the layover. While the curse dice is the main problem with the game, there are still other issues. The game designers underestimated just how long it would take to find someone. They originally planned for a 4-day game, but soon came to learn that this was too short. Future full hide-and-seek seasons would have 6 game days and also more time to hide. And while there are practical reasons behind this, I think the game day was too short this season. Because they were filming in December, there was not enough daylight, and you can see this at the start of the game days. However, while I know that this wouldn't have been too ideal, I do gotta ask if it would have been a worthwhile trade-off to expand the game day an hour or two, just to get more gameplay in, especially since there were only 4 game days. Another issue that becomes apparent as the game goes on is that it incentivizes hiders to hide in cities with a lot of rail lines. This led players to go away from the picturesque mountains and lakes of Switzerland. I have a few other minor issues. It would have been nice if gondolas were allowed, and the McDonald's question could have been swapped in with a more local chain restaurant. Also, there was this one rule that was mentioned in the layover that felt like it was not practical to follow or enforce.
Hiders may not take any actions that would retroactively make any answers false.
I'm just mentioning it here. One other serious issue was the limitation on questions. In this version of the game, seekers could only ask a question once, whereas in future versions of the game, seekers will generally be allowed to ask a question multiple times. The fact that the seekers were vulnerable due to mistakes from the internet, like Google Maps, weakened the season, though it would play an even bigger role in Japan. As they say on the layover, they don't have the nice motion graphics. Now that I've talked about the flaws that the original version of the game had, I'll tell you some of the strengths that carried on to future seasons, because there are a lot. First, like Tag, this game is a great fit for the show. The fact that the hiders stay in one place means that they can explore a beautiful part of a country in depth, and all of these seasons have beautiful shots in them, and seekers are encouraged to walk around the city. The photo questions compound this benefit. Having a hider take a picture of a beautiful mountain means that, well, we get to see a beautiful mountain. Furthermore, the editor's decision to generally censor the hider's location from the viewer keeps the audience in suspense. To make the game more exciting, the game designers gave the hider the ability to curse seekers. While we already went over how the system for earning curses was flawed, the very fact that there were curses to begin with gave the seekers more power than in a regular game of hide and seek. Future seasons, and the home game, would expand this idea by adding time bonuses and power-ups, but Switzerland deserves credit for laying the foundation for this idea. This game also sets up how the seekers find the hider. The seekers are given a large question menu and can ask questions from it. While I don't think the single-use limit was an idea that worked this season, the questions were still written well, as they could be both used in clever ways by the seekers to gain information, or they could be answered misleadingly by the hiders. Questions like the Strava map and the 5 buildings were solid ideas that would be available, and even useful, in future seasons. I've put some thought into what can be done to update the game, and I realized that Switzerland has one clear advantage compared to the other seasons, and that is its questions menu. When designing the home game, the creators simplified the menu to make it easier for casual players. While understandable, it has left the questions asked in the show proper a little less exciting. But when you look at the original season and you see a lot of cool questions that no longer get asked, FaceTime a bird? Altitude? Hotel prices? Rhyming names? Political party? Actually, on second thought, that one would make me depressed. Some of these questions were Switzerland specific. For example, the language area question mentioned in the layover only works because Switzerland is a multilingual country. However, since the goal of the first expansion pack was to add cards that could be used or disused depending on the size and location of the game, I don't see why the same can't be done for an expanded questions menu. There are other questions like this, such as geographic area, too. I wouldn't even be opposed to bringing back the one-time limit on questions. It's not like questions get re-asked that often in the new seasons, and the limit on questions, as well as the move curse issues mentioned earlier, taking place alongside the Swiss winter gave this season a sinister tone. It's tense, and the weather helps set the mood. I think there are a few other elements from this season that could be brought back. I like how the hiding zones are larger due to the station not needing to take place in the center of the map. It gives more flexibility in hiding, and also makes it possible for seekers to go in the wrong direction, which happened in Sam's round. Speaking of Sam's round, bring back hiding in the woods. I know that they changed the rules so that hiders can't hide more than 10 feet away from a trail, but even increasing that limit would be pretty entertaining. It's rare to get things right on your first try. Jetlag's tag was an amazing format, but it also was an outlier. More often, the team needs to fix the flaws in the previous games. Their game of Magic the Gathering improved on the flaws of Capture the Flag, and it looks like Rail Rush will improve on Snake. What we can appreciate about the team is how they respond to feedback and work to improve on their games. That being said, their original season of Hide and Seek still has fantastic elements that I hope to see in future seasons.